Well, in other news now, Israel has lashed out at the United States after Washington abstained from voting on the UNSC resolution to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. Israel's foreign ministry has declared that the non-veto by the US sent a message to terror groups that there can be a ceasefire without the release of hostages in Hamas's captivity. The US abstention prompted the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to cancel an Israeli trip to Washington. The US and Israeli officials were expected to discuss alternatives to the planned Israeli offensive in Rafah. Notably, the US had previously vetoed 3 draft resolutions that called for a ceasefire in Gaza. China promptly called for the implementation of the UNSC resolution that calls for a lasting ceasefire in the war-torn Gaza Strip.
Of course, the implementation will be key. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So we will urge Council members, in particular those who are very much influential in the region, to really take all measures to get this resolution.
Meanwhile, one of the key negotiators of the truce deal, Qatar, said the UNSC resolution on Gaza ceasefire had no impact on the ongoing hostage talks in Doha.
We haven't seen any immediate effect on the talks. They are, as I said, they are ongoing as they were before this decision was taking place. Other statements, that came out from the Israeli government are, bilaterally between the US and Israel, and they have not affected the talks as we speak right now.
And for weeks, the two sides have been discussing a potential truce of around 42 days. In this period, around 40 Israeli hostages will be released in return for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said that Hamas is making delusional demands. Hamas has accused Israel of stalling the talks even as it carries out its military offensive. After the US and Jordan, the UK Navy also has joined in with airdrops of humanitarian assistance into Gaza. The Britain's Royal Air Force airdropped over 10 tons of food supplies into Gaza. The UK personnel worked closely with the Royal Jordanian Air Force to conduct the mission. The aid consisted of water, rice, cooking oil, flour and tinned goods. However, the UN Secretary General Antonio Gutteres is seeking more access points to transport aid into northern Gaza.
In relation to the northern part of Gaza, it is absolutely essential to have a massive supply of humanitarian aid now. And this means opening more entry points. This means a concentration of efforts of all entities without obstacles, without limitations from the Israeli side, in order to be able to rescue the people of northern Gaza of an imminent risk of famine. But we must face facts. There will be no sustainable humanitarian solution with an ongoing war as bloody as this.
And for the very latest on the collision course between Biden and Netanyahu, our correspondent Jodi Kohan sent us this report.
After praising the resolution, Hamas fired rockets at Israel and appeared to reject the hostage release deal. Israel suggested that the vote gives Hamas hope that they can achieve a ceasefire without releasing hostages. The US indicated that the resolution is non-binding and that Netanyahu's cancellation of a delegation to Washington was for domestic audiences. But many Israelis feel that the US vote had the US election in mind. Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Gallant was already in Washington and is hearing US ideas from Defense Secretary Austin for an alternative to a ground operation in Rafah to defeat Hamas. Remember, Hamas has pledged to carry out more 7th of October style atrocities against Israel, and Israel believes the only way to defeat Hamas is by evacuating civilians and targeting Hamas through a ground operation. This is Jodi Kohan for WION World is One.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.